Hello again, Year 7. Today we're doing place value in decimals and we're going to order decimals as well. So to fill in the blanks up here at the top of the page, we have the decimal point. So we need to write that in here. Decimal point. The decimal point in a number separates the whole number from the parts of the number. The position of each number after the decimal point indicates the value of the number. So we're going to look specifically at this number here, 428.357. And we can break that number into its place value. In the hundreds position is the 4, it's 400. In the tens position, we have the 2. In the units position, we have the 8. After the decimal place, the first number after that we call the tenths, so that's the 3. The second number after decimal place is what we call hundredths, which is the 5. And the third decimal place we call the thousandths, which is the 7. Now, we could write that in a different way. So in the second row here, 4 hundreds could be written as 4 lots of 100. Tens, 2 tens, could be written as 2 lots of 10. Units means ones, so that's 8 lots of 1. Then we have our decimal point. But when we go on the other side of our decimal point, tenths mean that I have 3 lots of a tenth. And hundredths means I have 5 lots of 100th, and a thousandth means I have 7 lots of 1,000. So that means the 400s, I really need an extra row here in my table. 4 times 100 is 400. 2 lots of 10 is 20. 8 times by 1 is 8. Then the decimal point. 3 times 1/10 is 3 tenths. 5 times 100th is 5 over 100. And 7 times 1 over 1,000 is 7 thousandths. Okay, so what you will see is that we have our decimal point here in the middle. Everything to the left, everything to the left of that decimal point are whole numbers. And everything to the left are our fractions. So that can help us to convert our decimals into fractions. And let me show you how to do that. Let's look at the examples here. What is the value of the 8 in the following numbers? So the 8, I just want the 8 part here. It is the first spot after the decimal place, which means that it is in the tenths position. So to convert that into a fraction, I have 8 of them. I have 8 and they are tenths. So I write that as 8 over 10. Okay, we're not going to simplify these at this stage, okay? Then we want to look at the second one. Again, we're looking for the value of the 8. Here it is. It is the third decimal place, which means it is a thousandth. And we can write that as 8 over 1,000. Okay, we could also go the other direction. If I give you a fraction that is over 10, that means it is a tenth. And I can put that in the first decimal place. So 7 over 10 is actually the same as 0.7. It's putting that 7 into the tenths position. 5 over 100, this means we're in the hundredths position. We want to put the 5 in the hundredths position. So not the tenths, we need a 0 there, but in the hundredths, so 0.05. For part C, 3 is a whole number, so that would be at the front of my decimal place. And I have 17 hundredths. Okay, so that means the 7 is going to be in the hundredths position. The 1 is actually in the tens. So it is 3.17 to write that as a decimal. Okay, in question 3, we are wanting to arrange the following decimals in ascending order. Remember that ascending means from smallest to largest. To do that, we need to look at the place value of our numbers. Now, all of our numbers have the first digit in the ones or the units position. The smallest units position we can see there is the numbers that start with the 2. Those ones are the smallest. But out of those two, we now need to look at the tenths position to see which one's the smallest. And 3 is smaller than the 7. So that means this number here is the smallest number to start with. So 2.37 is the smallest. 2.73 would have to be next because it is the other one that starts with a 2. Then we would need to look at the next biggest numbers, and they would be the ones that start with the 3s. Okay, we would have to look at the tenths place to see which one is smaller, and 3.2 is smaller than 3.7. So we put 3.27 first and 3.72 next. And finally, that means that we can look at the 7-point-something numbers. Looking at the tenths position, 7.2 is smaller than 7.3. So we write that down, 7.23, and finally 7.32.